What's going on, party people? Welcome to the most exciting 47 and a half minutes of your Wednesday. This is Leading Off Live right here on Fantasy Pros. And yes, I am back. I am Joe Orrico. I did miss some time. We were back for about 3 minutes on Monday, but I promise things should go smoothly today. Well, maybe I shouldn't promise, just based on my track record with technology. Yeah. There you have it. Aliens did come to Canada. They were taking moose, as Welsh was calling them, mooses, all the different plural versions of moose. They're being taken away, as was my Wi-Fi, as was my computer on Monday. It just completely died on me. The repair guy did, I don't even know what he did, but he fixed it, so we're all good here. Long story short, we're back here in the saddle, myself and my dear friend Bubba. How we doing, my friend? It was a long week away. I was watching you and Kelly on the shows. Bogman did a great job filling in. It was pretty cool to see you and Kelly on a pod because of all the pairings in the fantasy universe over the last 7 years I've been listening to podcasts, I don't think I've ever seen that one in particular.
Yeah, it was great. I've never recorded with Kelly. We ended up doing 2 leading offs, 2 separate shows. We spent a lot of time together last week, which was great. We talked about we wouldn't be opposed to doing it again. It was a good time. And I always enjoy, like Joe, I love recording with people I've never recorded with before. It's kind of one of my things I've done for a long time with my personal show, Benched with Bubba. So, yeah, it was good. Great to have you back. You and I are going to be together quite a bit for the next 6 weeks of action. So people get used to the Joe and Bubba show like we do each and every year.
Yeah, this may be hard for the people to hear, but I will be on every leading off show for the remainder of the year. Barring anything crazy, I will be here for every single show going forward. You might love that, you might not, and I wouldn't blame you for it. But we are going to have a lot of fun today talking some baseball. But before we do that, we've been teasing a couple of giveaways here for quite a while on the program, and we are going to just give them away at this point. There's no point waiting any longer. $50 store code and the 1-year FantasyPros premium subscription. So we'll start with the $50 store code. The winner is GoSpork561. Congratulations. Really awesome stuff there. You will have the $50 store code. I highly recommend going and getting one of the new leading off hats or shirts. A lot of new stuff we have in the store, so make sure you guys are checking that out. And then the 1-year FantasyPros premium subscription, the winner is Life with Fife. Awesome job, guys. Congratulations on the win. Life with Fife, send us a whisper with the username or email address tied to your FP account, and we'll get you upgraded. And the same thing with GoSpork. We'll send you the FP shop code in a whisper. So again, GoSpork561 and Life with Fife. Congratulations. If you want a chance to win the store code, and that was your shot there. So continue leaving comments on our Twitch streams, twitch.tv/fantasypros. We're going to continue to do giveaways. I'm not sure if the next one is active yet, but we will continue to have another giveaway. So make sure you guys are still dropping your comments, whether it be on Twitch, on YouTube, like, subscribe, and do all that great stuff. But with the housekeeping out of the way, let's talk some baseball and something kind of baseball adjacent, I guess, here at first. Ketel Marte. Similarly to what I did on Monday, he didn't show up for work. He was not there at Fenway Park on Monday, and it was kind of an odd situation. So he reportedly flew into Boston. He was at the team bar, or not at the team bar, at the hotel bar. He was seen there the night before. You might as well. And then it was announced that he was dealing with a personal issue after he no-showed the game on Monday. Torey Lovullo was giving a post-game press conference, and he was in tears, it looked like, or on the verge of tears talking about Marte. And then we hear that he's going back to Arizona and will have an MRI. But this is the second year in a row where there's been some odd stuff with Marte. Last year during the All-Star break, his home was broken into. He returned to the Dominican Republic without telling the team, missed, I think, 3 games. He later apologized, but a totally bizarre situation here, Bubba. I don't know if there's been any news over the last 10 or 15 minutes or so about Ketel Marte, but what do you make of this entire situation and the ongoing drama between him and the Diamondbacks?
It's really strange, and it sucks because everybody wants to make jokes, and jokes are meant to be, but there might be really something going wrong with Ketel Marte just because it's been going on for multiple years. But it's just a weird dynamic because, like, Nolan Arenado got an MRI in Boston on Monday. Not an issue. Like, Ketel could have done that. So to me, the team's covering for him is what it feels like with what's going on, and he's got other things going on. We don't know what that is. But yeah, it's happened a few times now. It's really strange. His production has fluctuated, if we want to take a fantasy twist to this, but he's still one of the better second basemen in baseball. Like last night, I took part in the annual meatball draft, NFBC DC, first 15 rounds, and this was for 2027 that we started drafting. And Ketel Marte fell to like around 10 or 11. He fell quite a bit. People have been moving on from him, which is a bit of a surprise, and especially with how bad second base even is next year, not let alone this year. But I think there's more going on. Like he's in Arizona. He's apparently getting an MRI. Apparently he's working with through personal issues. There's a million scenarios that could take place here. Who knows what it is? I'd expect we see him back soon, but yeah, it's a very, very strange one.
Yeah, maybe I'm in the wrong making a joke. It's just my personality. It's just kind
No,
of an
I
odd
get it. Like I said,
situation, and
jokes are probably meant. It's one of those things. It's almost like Boy Who Cried Wolf at this time. If you want to, it's happened so many times. Like eventually, something's got to come out of this situation. But it's just weird how it keeps lining up. And then like Torey Lovullo's super emotional after Monday's game, like crying in a post game interview. And then he said he's barely talked. There's just levels to it where someday that the Netflix documentary will be wild.
yeah, and if you look at his production this year, he's still been very good. 21 homers, he's got 67 ribbies, he's got 65 runs, 4 steals. But the batting average is at 249. If you look at his WRC plus, it's his lowest going back 2022 in a season that wasn't super great for him in 2022. So I wonder if there might be a little bit of age-related decline. There also seems to be something behind the scenes that we don't really know about. If you're in a super shallow league, I've had this question come across my desk a couple times. Is Ketel Marte a drop if you're in a because there are people who are in playoff mode right now. If you're in your playoff matchup, you can't really afford to wait around for news, but cutting him also feels a little extreme. What would you do to those people who are in their playoffs right now and are looking at a goose egg at second base?
Yeah, it always comes down to the who are you replacing him with question for me. And I know that's, again, not the answer people are looking for, but I would lean towards cutting him right about now because you're talking, like, if you're in a roto league where you're playing all the way to the end, you probably wait and try to see what else is going on. But if you are in a head to head playoffs, as you mentioned, like you're in your matchups, you can't wait around because your season might end Sunday. And that's where you kind of have to just really get after him. Be like, hey, I don't see him playing again the rest of this week. Who knows how much farther than that? So I think you can move on from Ketel Marte, sadly enough. But it is a big blow, and if he comes back tomorrow, you hate yourself. But that's just the way it goes.
It doesn't seem like you will. I agree. Like that is a possibility that he comes back and you feel foolish, but if this is your moment in the playoffs and you're sitting there with nothing at second base, granted, second base is not great, but there's something. There's a warm body out there that you can put into your lineup. I would try and avoid
Yep.
dropping him if you can. If you can put him on the bench for a couple days as opposed to just straight up cutting, I'd prefer to go that route. But we might end up getting a cut here across the
Agreed.
board for Ketel Marte. And a question in the chat here from Lee: where does Ketel rank among second basemen going into next season?
Well, I can tell you right now. If
Yeah, that
how
was
he,
actually the
yeah.
draft last night.
So
Yeah.
so he actually went in round 7, but he was the
Okay.
fifth second baseman off the board. It went Jazz in round 4, Terang in round 4, Weatherholt in round 4, Stott in round 6, then Marte. That's not counting potential multi-position guys that I'm not going to navigate through the minefield on right now. But just looking at colored stickers, he's the fifth second baseman off the board right now.
Thought in the sixth feels a little
Yeah,
rich for my blood. A little
with you,
rich.
with you. That was a
Um,
bit of a surprise. Yes.
so as of today on the player rater, Cattell is the ninth second baseman. Guys that are ahead of him that I think comfortably he'll go ahead of next year are Otto Lopez. Maybe not comfortably, but I think he'll go ahead of Otto Lopez. I think he'll go ahead of Brandon Lau. I think he'll go ahead of Luis Garcia and probably Luis Arise. So off the top of my head, I'd say he's the top 5 second baseman still, probably closer to the back end of the top 5 than competing for that number 1 spot like we've seen over the last couple of years. Todd speculating maybe he just needs a change of scenery, and it's kind of felt like that for the last year and change here with Ketel Marte. So something we'll have to keep monitoring here. And obviously, if there's anything going on behind the scenes, we do wish him the best. But let's talk Fernando Tatis because he had a hell of a game yesterday. If it wasn't for all this Marte stuff, then Tatis probably would have been the cover boy on the thumbnail and everything like that. But he hit 2 homers and he robbed a home run as well, a grand slam over the right field wall. And I don't know if you guys saw the clip. We're going to get copyrighted if we play it. So go and find it on Twitter. But the aura, Fernando Tatis, bringing that ball back, standing there, tossing the ball and catching it in this very, like, it's been a bit of a rough year for Nando, but that was a really awesome moment, Bubba.
It was sick. Like I've always joked with Tatis because sometimes he gets way too cocky. He's like, it's the old Razor Ramon. He's oozing machismo. I'm waiting for him to flick a toothpick at somebody after what he's doing out there. But man, first he hits an absolute tank to left field in the upper deck. Then he goes and robs that homer, and I'm watching it live, and even the announcers are just like breathless for a second, speechless, and then they just go nuts. He caught the ball, and he just flicks it up in the air like you're talking about. It was just straight out of a movie, basically, like Angels in the Outfield. Hey, he actually has it. But yeah, and then he goes Oppo Taco after that. Like it was a heck of a night for Tatis, and it's been a heck of a second half of the season for him as he's right back into the first round discussion for 2027.
Yeah, I was looking. I didn't do a full, thorough breakdown of that board, but by the way, next week, whether it's Bubba or somebody from that draft, I'm going to bring them on the show and we're going to talk about what went down. But Fernando Tatis went, I think it was eighth overall.
Yep.
And when I first saw it, I was like, maybe that's a little bit rich, but he's hitting
Nope.
280 with 15 homers and 28 stolen bases. Like he's pretty much recouped that value that we'd lost from him in the first half. It was really unlucky in terms of his barrels to home runs, but is he a locked in, like guaranteed first rounder for you in 2027, or is there still potential for him to fall outside of your top 15 or your top 12?
As of right now, he's back in the first round. I had pick 10. I was looking to take him at pick 10. He went to,
Okay.
like you said, at pick 8. So I was very much in the Tatis business. I don't think he'll ever be the monster 50 home run guy or whatever we thought, because I think the shoulder will bug him. Plus, he had a little extra shot of adrenaline, if you know what I mean, during that run. But could he still be a 25 to 30 home run guy with like 40 stolen bases? I 100% think that. And he's actually proven to be a batting average asset of late. So he is a legit 5 category stud. And yeah, I'm on board.
Not to mention, thank you, Padres, second base eligible Fernando Tatis as
Yes,
well. So that definitely adds to the allure. Todd asking Tatis or Acuna. It's Tatis for me.
easily.
I
Easy.
love Acuna's skill set, but full seasons are few and far between at this point for Acuna. When he's out there, he's great. I don't know how much he's going to be out there. And Tatis, outside of some problems a couple years ago, he's been mostly on the field for the last 2.5 years. I cannot say the same for Ronald Acuna. Let's talk PCA. And there's some history that will be made this year. He hit another leadoff homer, and there's actually another graphic and stat we'll bring up later on here. Gold gloves have been given out since 1957. Only one player has had 30 homers, 30 steals, and a gold glove in consecutive years. And that was Barry Bonds. I believe it was 96, 97, 97, 98. PCA will join him when he gets his gold glove later this year. Obviously, things haven't been awarded yet, but it's all but guaranteed. PCA will get his gold glove to go along with his 30 and 30. And I might have buried the lead from that draft last night. Crow-Armstrong was the first overall pick.
Yep.
So when I first saw it, I thought, I don't know. Like I understand it to some extent. I don't know if I'd be able to take him over the Otanis, Judge, maybe even Soto, who's just been doing it for so long. What has your thought been this year about PCA's development and the potential for him to be at the 101 next year?
I think it's legit, and shameless plug, but Bubba and the Bloom, Ryan and I were both in the draft. We recorded right afterwards, gave our initial thoughts on our teams and a lot of these picks and PCA we discussed on that show. And he's proving that he's I don't know if figured is the right word because he's still so young, but he's figuring things out very well at the big league level. The 30-30 potential, I think that's a floor for him if he plays 140 games a year. The power maybe fluctuates. Speed shouldn't for a long time. The dude's legit. He's going to lead off. He's not like Chicago should lock him down immediately. He's going nowhere. I think he deserves to be the 101 because you look at Ohtani, who fell to 2 in that draft. The knee issues continue to come with him. He's not running as much as he has in years past. He used to have that 40-40 appeal, 50-50. That's not happening. And who knows if he ever pitches like Ohtani again. That's a massive question. Now, if he's a closer, different conversation. But and then Bobby Witt could be a bounce back candidate. But like outside of that, Judge who knows what he's going to do. PCA is making a very strong case, and it's hard to argue with. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, the more I look at it, the more I think he's a locked in top 4 or 5 pick. I just worry a little bit. I guess part of it is he fell off in the second half last year. He is a much better hitter than he was last year, but I think in the back of my head, it's like, what will the final 6 weeks look like? If he hits a buck 90, it would surprise me, but he did it just last year. And also, some of the plate discipline stuff is not my favorite. He's cut down on the chase rate a lot, but he still does chase quite a bit. Contact rates have come a long way. I'm kind of talking myself into it, but over Ohtani, I mean, maybe it's just the sticker shock because we haven't seen his price ever anywhere close to that. But the more I think about it, maybe it's not as crazy as I initially thought. Let us know down below. What do you guys think of PCA? First of all, is like a top 5 pick, but also it's the 101. Let us know down below what you guys think. Um, you got something else there, Bubba, before we move on
No,
PCA?
I was just gonna say like the Otani thing. He's 7 steals this year. So like if he's not running, he's
Yeah.
more Yordan Alvarez than Pete Crow-Armstrong.
Wow, that's a scary thought with those knees, but hopefully that doesn't transfer over to Mr. Shohei. He's got his own ailments. Let's not add anything else
Yep.
onto there. Seth has reminded me from behind the scenes here that we do actually have the other giveaway live already. It's a $50 store code that you guys can check out just by leaving comments here on our Twitch streams, twitch.tv/fantasypros. You get a 1.5 times odd boost at winning just as a thank you for your support. So if you are looking to get one of these leading off hats, the shirts, any of the Fantasy Pros gear, if you guys been watching shows, I always have something on, a hat, a sweater, a t-shirt. You guys can win that $50 store code, and you can check it all out at fantasypros.com/collections/leading off if you want to get some of this beautiful merch right here. Let's talk about Shane Baz because it's been a little bit of an up and down season for him, and that might even be a kind way for me to put it with Shane Baz. There's been some struggles. He's still got an ERA over 4. The whip is still at 135. He was dominant yesterday. He struck out 10 Yankees, took a tough loss, allowing 3 hits over his 6 and a third innings. And it's kind of a gripe thing, like 6 and a third, 3 runs, and your ERA is still 4.26. If you gave up 3 runs over 6 and a third for the entire season, you'd say that guy had a damn good year, and the ERA would still be 4.26. So maybe there is something deceptive there with looking at ERA, which is why we don't really look at it as much as we used to. But tangent over, Shane Baz, if you look at his stats this year, below the surface, on the surface, you could argue this is maybe the best version of him that we've seen. The 332 FIP is by far the best number that he's ever had. 422 Sierra is pretty solid from him. I'm not overly excited about Shane Baz, but I thought he warranted a conversation after striking out 10 Yankees. Is there another level for Shane Baz, Bubba? Because we've kind of been waiting on him for a long time. This is already his 5th year in the big leagues. And next year, going into his age 27, 28 season, I wonder if you think there might be another level he can unlock there.
Yeah, big Shane Baz fan here. He was kind of like my I guess categorized as my sleeper later round pick. I wanted to target everywhere, and it was ugly early. There's no denying that whatsoever. But he's really figured things out. You gave those full season stats, but and let's throw some shade at the Yankees. 10 Ks against the Yankees. Yeah, everyone's striking Yankees out these days. But and also Baz, it was 6 innings, a 1-run ball. He went out there. It was a slap or a single, a strikeout, a slap single through the hole. Went to the bullpen imploded. So there's still his runs, but he pitched really well, all things considered, into that mix. And you mentioned, like, what could he be going forward? And 2 things I like. Last year, he made every single start for the Rays before he got Rays and Orioles because he got traded. He's made every single start this year, so it's kind of a consistency thing we look at in fantasy. And he's taking developments in the big way. Went to a big time prospect, came over from Pittsburgh. Everyone thought it was a Tyler Glasnow deal. Well, Shane Baz is still sticking around in Baltimore now. But yeah, I absolutely love it. I'm a fan of Shane Baz, and I think that is there another level? Who knows? But could he be a locked-in SP3 in fantasy going forward? I think so.
I'm hoping you're right. Yeah, if you look back over the last month or so, things have been quite a bit better. I know his previous start before this was 5 earned runs, but the overall picture has been pretty solid for Shane Baz recently. Yeah, apologies because there is some Fangraphs outage right now. So if I'm
Yeah, I
looking
was
to pull,
trying to give you stats, but it wasn't coming through. I was like, that's not ideal.
there will be maybe a couple times where we're looking to pull a stat, and hopefully Fangraphs is able to sort it out over the next 25 or so minutes. But let's move on to Kyle Leahy here. I think it's Leahy. I've heard it pronounced a couple different ways. As a Canadian Trailer Park Boys fan, I'll always use Leahy for Mr. Leahy.
Such a
But
great show.
oh, it's phenomenal. But Kyle Leahy, 5 shutout innings against the Reds. He's one of the best pitchers in baseball for the last couple months. He hasn't allowed more than 2 earned runs in any start going back to June 17th. And our boy Frank Stanfield put out a tweet last night: a 138 ERA, a .96 WHIP, 52 strikeouts to 9 walks over his last 52 and a third innings. It's pretty great. I mean, it's one of those things where it's so quintessential baseball where you look below the surface before this run. There's nothing really to suggest that he was going to do this, but he's been one of those guys that you'll look back in the offseason, you'll say, yeah, I won my league because I picked up Kyle Leahy and he was my ace for a 2.5 month stretch. Do you think it's sustainable though, as people really get into fantasy playoffs and crunch time for head to head? Is this a guy you're willing to trust, set it and forget it, what regardless of matchups? Is he in that circle of trust now?
He's definitely in my circle of trust. I've been like writing about him week after week because no one picks him up in fantasy because he's the boring, his beautiful profile, but because he wasn't striking guys out early on. But that has definitely changed, as Frank mentions there. And like just over the last month, it's a 26% K to walk, which is darn impressive. 28% strikeout rate. His swinging strike rate's up to 11.3% on the season. There's only 9.6%. He comes with a 52% ground ball rate. So if he's not getting strikeouts, he's still getting ground balls, which is keeping the ball in the yard. There's a ton to like with Kyle Leahy on this one. And I remember like you joined me in the preseason on bench with Bubba to do the Jays. Matt Thompson of Prospect Live does the Cardinals with me every year. And he came on the show and he said Kyle Leahy will be the Cardinals' best pitcher in 2026. And that has been 1,000% correct on that one. And that's why I love doing those shows because I get people that pay attention to the teams a lot more than I do. And Leahy's on a ton of my like draft and hold teams because of that comment. And I love everything we're seeing here. He's available in a ton of leagues. Almost brought him up for a show we're doing later, but I didn't. Big fan of Kyle Leahy. So, yes, I think it's sustainable. Like, to this level, nothing's this sustainable. But to be a very serviceable starter for the rest of the year and going forward, I think so.
I'm gonna have to go back and listen to that show at some point and just hear how excited I probably was for the Blue Jays coming into the season.
Yeah, coming
Oh
off
my
the World
god.
Series. Yeah, you're always the first episode out of the 30. You
Yeah,
always
I
get the first one. So, yeah.
so it was still early. We were still World Series hangover. I probably predicted 94 wins or
Still
something.
had
I'll have to
tags
go.
on the Geary bot. Like, we're
Oh God, I'm gonna have to go back and watch that. Did you guys see, by the way, Pedro Martinez has become the Magic Johnson of Twitter in the baseball world? He tweeted out last night. I'm gonna paraphrase. I don't think the Blue Jays came out this season the way they were really hoping they would after the. It's like you don't say, Professor. Really, you don't think they? It's like it's just the obvious, right on the nose. Magic Johnson's been doing it in the NBA for forever, but Pedro has taken on that mantra here in baseball. I don't know if you saw that, but Pedro is actually kind of a fun follow, Bubba. I don't know if you follow
I
him or
didn't
not.
see that one, but yeah, I've noticed the last few weeks there's been some funny ones that, like for the old heads out there, it reminds me of John Madden. He used to be like, in order to win the game, you
Oh,
have to score more points than the other team. Uh-huh, you don't say. Yeah, that's true.
oh my God, I miss John Madden and Al Michaels was the
Yes,
combo for the Madden games that I was playing as a kid in the early 2000s. It was Madden and Michaels, and I still think it might be the best ever broadcasting duo.
it
Two
was good.
absolute legends. We won't talk football broadcasters. Let's talk about Caleb Durbin because I mean, the narrative around Caleb Durbin to start the year, Red Sox fans were ready to pack his bags and send him back to Milwaukee. They wanted him. They wanted him gone, and he was pretty bad for the first month or so, month and a half of the season. Again, Frankie Stamps was on a hot streak with his tweets last night, so we pulled up another one of his over his last 70 games. This is before last night when Durbin went. It was just 1 for 5, but a run, an RBI, and a stolen base. You look back at the previous 70 games before last night: 312 batting average, 11 homers, 11 steals, 47 runs, and 45 RBI for Caleb Durbin. It's turned into a borderline career year at this point. What are your thoughts on him going forward? Is this a guy you really believe in? I'm still kind of on the fence about what I make of him going forward. He doesn't hit the ball hard at all. The bat speed's not great, but it has improved. Still kind of hemming and hawing about Caleb Durbin in the long run, Bubba. But what do you think about him going forward?
The Durbinator. Yeah, no, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Caleb Durbin. He's got that, you don't see it on a Fangraphs page, but that grit to him, just watching him play. He's kind of like a mini Bregman, if that makes sense. There's a lot of that going on out there, except he runs more than Briggs does. But yeah, it's been going on for a while. Like you said, Frank mentioned 70 games. If you just look month to month, since June, he's hit 326, 294, 323. He's got 11 home runs over the last 3 months. Like, he's been as advertised. He's been kind of the spark plug for that team. And I think, at least for the rest of the year, you ride that train and go with it. And there's no reason why he probably can't be a pretty decent third base option going forward.
I've absolutely loved having him in my home league. It's been a lifesaver for a team that's been really bad. And Caleb Durbin has kept me in the race almost single handedly, which sounds like a crazy thing to say, but he has been a true quote unquote type of league winner if you did pick him up when nobody was interested in him over the last couple of months. But great stuff from Caleb Durbin. Let's talk Joe Adell. He hit a monstrous home run yesterday, finished 3 for 4. with 6 RBI, and we're going to bring up a tweet here from Sarah Lang's longest home run of the season for both the Guardians, 455 feet, and then the Angels came back on May 10th, 449 feet. No player has ever finished a season having hit the longest home run for multiple teams in the same year, going back to when we have StatCast data since 2015. What are you made of Joe Adell this season, and particularly as a Cleveland Guardian? I know last night makes up a lot of his stat line in those 13 games with 3 homers, 11 RBI, and a 125 WRC plus as a Guardian, Bubba. What are your thoughts on Joe Adell?
First, I'm glad you saw that tweet because I saw it late last night after you did the show sheet. And I almost sent it to him. I'm like, I'm not going to create more work for the crew, but that's a heck of a stat. Like
Yeah.
to Coven, it's kind of a twofold. Yeah, he got traded because the Angels are the Angels, so it kind of stinks. That's why it was possible, but still an amazing stat because that was a bomb last night that he hit in Cleveland. But to your question, I have dropped Joe Adell in recent weeks because he's been so bad this year, and I'm a huge Joe Adell fan. I had enough shares to have to drop him. I was rostering him the last couple of years and enjoyed the bounce back from Joe Adell because he is only 27. But yeah, even after last night, he's still hitting 217 with the Guardians. 3 homers, 11 RBIs, which is great, but literally 6 RBIs, like you said, came from last night. So it was 2 homers and 5 RBIs before last night. Still a 30% K rate. Yeah, it's a cool story. It's an awesome stat. Probably doesn't get broken anytime soon unless Ohtani gets traded, which will never happen. So, yeah, it's really cool, but I'm not. Joe Adell has been a disappointment this season.
I think that's fair. The Otani thing is funny because there's all the behind the scenes crap with the Dodgers owner and the
Oh,
Lakers getting sold.
they're shady? No. No, not the Dodgers.
They're shadier than Slim at this point, but I wonder because there is a clause in Otani's contract. I'm not the biggest contract guy, so forgive me if I butcher the terminology a little bit, but there's some kind of opt out that Otani has if his name is Mark Walter. If Mark Walter sells the team or leaves the ownership group,
Yep.
Otani can opt out. He'd be the biggest hero in sports history if he
Yep.
opted out of that contract. I think he leaves the Dodgers, go signs, literally pick any 29 teams. He'd be a hero.
Yep. No, he could go on a full John Cena WWE like face run and just run wild if he left the Dodgers and made everybody so happy. But yeah,
Oh my god! Imagine he just opts out, signs a 10-year deal in Tampa. Just, I'd love it. Even as a Jays fan, I would love it. I think it'd be great. It's not going to happen. The
no.
guy can dream. The guy can dream. Let's talk George Klassen. Going back to the Angels, just dominated the Astros. 7 innings of 1 hit ball while striking out 7. In his last 2 starts, really good. The previous one against Texas, 6 innings, 5 hits, 2 runs, and 5 strikeouts in that one. Now, the first few outings of the year have absolutely ruined any chance for a good stat line because, well, the ERA is not bad at 374, but he's walked 17% of batters those first 3 starts. Seattle, Cincinnati, Miami, brutal. The last 2 have been really, really good, and I wonder if you have any interest in picking up Klassen here for the stretch run, Bubba.
Yeah, love George Klassen. Like when I was with Welsh a few weeks back before the trade deadline, George Klassen, I believe, was in one of his top 5 prospects to get impacted by the deadline. I told him, yeah, I just wrote about him at HQ because I think he's been that good. And that the first cup of coffee in April, as you mentioned, not great, but his command has always been a massive issue with Klassen, and he improved that tremendously at AAA. And not everybody pays attention to AAA. I usually don't either. That's why we appreciate guys like the Welsh. But like over his last 12 starts at AAA, it was a 2.57 ERA in the PCL of all places, which is really difficult with 68 Ks and 30 walks and 66 and 2/3 innings. And you might say 30 walks, but that's still bad. An 11% walk rate with a 14% K to walk for George Klassen is a marked improvement. And he literally didn't walk anybody in his last 2 starts before he got recalled in 12 and 2/3. So it's one of those things. It takes time for these young kids, and a lot of these young pitchers getting called up all have control issues. None of them
Yeah.
know how to find the strikes. They throw as hard as they can. Klassen's doing that. Will it be consistently good? Probably not because he's young. Is he really talented? We've seen it the last 2 nights, and that's what you might get going forward.
Yeah, his next start, just pulling it up, it looks like it's scheduled to come against Texas. Texas, a team that he did well against a couple starts ago. And if you look in August, Texas has an 81 WRC plus as a team. So I think that's a fairly reasonable streaming option if you are out there looking to bolster your team in the playoff matchups. Game over asking, was Mike Maddox the problem? The game might have passed him by. I'm not really sure all the ins and outs at this point, but Mike Maddox has been around the block for 35,
I
40
don't think
years.
Maddox was like that pitching staff had never been better. Like look at what Detmers did, Soriano did, Walbert Uran, all these guys.
That's
I
true.
am confused why all the pitching, like literally, it was Maddox and his entire pitching staff got fired, And I'm
Yeah.
sorry, if you look at the offense, that's bad. The pitching's actually been the best thing for Anaheim. So I think there's something behind the scenes, maybe Ketel Marte-esque going on there. So yeah.
Yeah, you know what? You're actually right about that. The team as a whole, obviously, still disappointing Angels, but Detmers has been really good. Soriano started great. Overall, I'm still not sure what to make of Soriano, but it's a Walbert Urania as well, like you mentioned. It's probably not Mike Maddox's fault. It's probably more the overall ineptitude of the organization. Todd in the chat here, 3 walks for Skenes already. This is
Yeah.
today
Yes.
again. Oh
I've
my god.
I've been watching it live, and I keep updating the Statcast pages. Velocity is at least better. Like it's not great. It's basically in line with season's norms, slightly up, but he's all over the place. He's dodged his bullets so far, but he's at 35 pitches without an out in the second. So yeah,
I think he was the SP 16 or 17 off the board in that draft
yes,
last night.
SP
And
17.
the Phil Dussault prophecy has come full circle now after his bad start, the first start of the year. And Phil said, yeah, he's my SP 15. And everybody was like, get out of here, SP 15. He's going to finish as the SP 15 this year. It's
Yeah,
written in stone.
I took Garrett Cole to pick before Paul Skenes, so that just tells you everything where my head's at on that one.
Wow, that's interesting. So you think he's cooked then? You think he's going to have surgery or something at that point then?
I'm worried
Oh,
about surgery, and I'm also worried that like he's still a very good pitcher, but if this is who he is, he's not an ace. Like, well, a fantasy
yeah,
ace, I should say. Still a very good pitcher, which is fine, but
yeah.
I'll take the upside of Cole, who's looked like the ace since July 1st. Like, it took about 3 or 4 starts to knock the rust off, and he's been dominant. And if we can get a full season of Cole next year, that's a former first round pick. So that's where my brain went on that one.
That's not a bad point at all. And again, it's like the sticker shock of PCA over Otani. You first see it, and you're like, "What do you mean video games cost $82 now?" But it's like the same type of thing that goes through your brain. Lee in the chat saying Skeens is a drop, half joking. Are you trusting him right now? I mean, it's a fair. I think it's a fair question. I think at this point, it's a fair question, at least to bench him. What do you think?
Benching's fine. It's at a very, very, very tricky drop. But again, if you're in head-to-head matchups and you're not going to use them, then yeah, like that's the scenario we're in right now, this time of the year. Like if you look at matchups, and you're like Jared Jones. I talked about this last week on a show. Like his matchups are really bad coming forward, and he's barely going 5 innings. Like if you're not going to use him, you drop him. Don't worry about the name and go pick someone else that's going to help you. And if weirdly enough, if Skeens is that guy, go for it. I find that hard to do, but go for it.
His next start will be against the Padres, and the Padres, going back to
Red
the
hot.
August stats, fourth best offense in Major League Baseball, 115 WRC plus. They're hitting 261 with 24 homers over 17 games in the month of August. So if that goes belly up for Skeens, I wouldn't be shocked. I got to be honest.
Yeah.
It's crazy to say, but if you wanted to bench Paul Skeens in a pitcher's park in San Diego, I would be fine to do it at this point in time. I never thought we'd get there, but here we are. Guys, I want to remind you about my playbook. I know we're entering into the stretch run of the season, but that just means people are distracted with different activities. They're doing their fantasy football drafts. Let them go ahead, let them do it. Because here at Fantasy Pros, we have my playbook to help you dominate your fantasy baseball leagues throughout the entire season. It's a suite of powerful tools to help you make better decisions, manage your lineups, and win your leagues. You can import your team to get custom fantasy baseball news, rankings, and analysis. You can sync your leagues today at fantasypros.com/MLB My Playbook or download the Fantasy Pros app. Let's go to some fun facts. And this one, more than a fun fact, is happy trails of sorts to Trey Mancini, who called it a career yesterday. Always a personal favorite of mine. I always really liked Trey Mancini, and also just a great story, a great little career as well. 4-time 20 home run hitter. He hit 35 of them in 2019. A career 775 OPS with a 108 WRC plus. He hit 263 in his career. Now, most of you know the story, but in 2020, Trey Mancini diagnosed with colon cancer, missed the entire COVID season, came back the next year, American League Comeback Player of the Year, and then in 2022, a World Series champion. He got a ring with the Astros. He had missed the last couple of seasons at the big league level, did come up and play 5 or 6 games for the Angels this year. Actually, was hitting around 300 in typical Angels fashion. They said no, thank you to that. But it was nice to see him come back to the major leagues this year and actually finish off, completing the comeback. But a great career for a guy who went through a ton of adversity. And I wanted to give him a shout out here because I think Trey Mancini is one of the real good guys in the sport and somebody that people can really look up to. Honestly, a huge comeback story, Bubba. If I'm not mistaken, you were a Trey Mancini fan at one point in time, were you not?
Trey Boo Boo. Yep, big fan of Trey Mancini. Like it's just because the skills were actually really good. Then
Yeah,
the story, like you mentioned, there's just a lot. It was impossible not to root for that guy, and to see him keep coming back. And weirdly enough, was actually playing well this year at AAA, and not
yeah.
horribly in the majors. But teams go young. I get it. It's life. It's business. But yeah, a heck of a career, and really cool. He got to have that comeback after it looked like all things were kind of said and done there. So good for Trey Boo Boo.
I'm glad he got a ring, and it was a really solid career that I think, if the health stuff hadn't gotten in the way, Trey Mancini's probably a mainstay in fantasy lineups over the last decade. He really did have a good career. Wanted to just give him a little bit of a shout out there on the way out. And somebody coming back to the major leagues, Emmet Sheehan will be recalled by the Dodgers. I don't know, Bubba. I feel like I was, and I've also been burned here because I was a big Emmet Sheehan guy coming into the season, but I'm not really sure what to make of this. There are 2 off days over the next week for the Dodgers. Eric Lauer is still in the rotation. Sasaki is still in the rotation, and Sasaki's been pretty good. What's the role for Emmet Sheehan here? Is he starting that you can tell, or is this a bulk relief type of role? I don't think I'm that interested either way, but what do you think?
Yeah, I've been anti Emmett Sheehan all season, but it feels like it's a bulk roll, or if they want to get real weird, he could split some late inning with Tanner Scott back there. We'll get to that shortly, but you could use Sheehan in some different roles because like a 1 inning Sheehan where you can gas it up might actually not be that bad for the stretch run. But I don't see him joining the rotation. I think he was strictly called up because of Diaz's situation.
Yeah.
But yeah, and plus they got Glass now coming back next week, so there's really no room for Sheehan in the rotation right now.
Yeah, Chris Towers and I did a show earlier this year, and we were talking a lot about Sheehan, and he made a really good point that it's going to stick with me, not just with Sheehan, but in general for the analysis. Look at the way that a team treats a player. And coming into the season, it didn't really seem like the Dodgers loved Emmet Sheehan. It seemed like the fantasy community and analysts loved Emmet Sheehan more than the Dodgers did.
Mm-hmm.
And just a little tidbit there to keep in the back of your mind. If you love a player, but a team goes out of their way to not give them opportunities or keeps them in the bullpen, keeps them down, it's something that we should have paid more attention to. I think it's a lost year for Sheehan. I think if you're looking to get any fantasy contributions out of him, probably not going to work out. We'll touch on the Diaz news in a little bit, but I don't think Sheehan will be the beneficiary. We'll have to see. I'm really sorry to do this to Seth, our producer, but there's one more thing I wanted to talk about with PCA. He is a Cardinals fan. We're going to bring up one more tidbit on Pete Crow-Armstrong. Actually, from the night before. I should have had this higher up in the sheet because I talked about the home run from yesterday. But regardless, Pete Crow-Armstrong, a couple nights ago, sixth player with a leadoff and walk-off home run in the same game. And this is an awesome list. This is like you get around with the boys around the campfire, you crack a couple beers, you talk about some dudes, and this is some dudes right here. Vic Power, Darren Erstad, Reed Johnson. Reed Johnson as a rookie Blue Jay in '03, I might add. Ian Kinsler in '09 and Chris Young in 2010. The only players in Major League history have a leadoff and walk-off home run in the same game. Mostly wanted to highlight this because this is an awesome group of players. Darren Erstad is also a forgotten name, a dude who was awesome for a few years there. Ian Kinsler had a great career. Chris Young was a lot of fun. It's an awesome list, Bubba.
Yeah, it's a who's who of grinders, is what I would call that board. Like if these guys weren't dirty by the end of the game, something went horribly wrong. But you want to know what's even crazier stat? There's probably that like zero people have probably done it. So you get the leadoff homer, the game-winning homer, and then he led off the next game with the
Yeah,
homer.
yeah,
So it's like again, we're full circle here on the PCA front, and trust me, I was during draft season very skeptical of the boy. Impressive stuff with PCA here, and and he just got a good attitude. I saw a video of him. I don't know if you saw the Ozzie Guillen clip where he's like, "Yeah, the white boy that plays for the Cubs." Like he was just making a joke. Ozzie Guillen was, and someone showed PCA the clip the next day, and PCA laughs, goes, "That's why I love Ozzie." And it's just like he gets it. He gets the whole joke about it. So good for him. Good stuff.
PCA is a character. Like
Yeah,
he is a guy that it seems like from an era gone by, or everybody's got so much media training and everything these days. All the answers to the media are typically fairly manicured outside of a couple guys. And then you got PCA going out there saying, "I don't think Babe Ruth even existed," and things like
yeah.
that. I don't know if you saw that clip. It's
Oh
like
yeah,
he's just, it's fun. It's fun. Maybe a little unhinged, but it's fun. And I think
yep,
the game could use those type of personalities. It helps the game market itself, which Major
definitely.
League Baseball cannot get out of their own way. There's still people who don't know who Mike Trout is. So I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing for the game of baseball that PCA is the personality that he is. And Seth, we will move on because I know I've given you enough horror here talking as much PCA as we have. Let's do some 3 up and 3 down, and we will talk Alejandro Kirk 3 for 6 with a homer, 2 runs, and 3 RBI. And who's the catcher leader in F4 since the All-Star break? Alejandro, baby. Is he back, Bubba? It looks like he's back.
Oh, he's back. He's healthy, and that rump turkey running around there is rump roast turkey. He's a big boy, and I love every bit about that. But yeah, we talked about him a couple weeks ago, like when he's starting to heat up, and it's just will the power come back? And well, it's showing up, and I love to see it.
Oh man, he was a triple shy of the cycle last night. I was praying to the Benji Molina shrine in my room. Please let him get that triple, please.
Dude,
It
the
didn't
right
happen.
fielder would have to fall over to make it's gonna have to take I know this is coming from me, so I'm just telling you, I didn't get a whole lot of triples in my day. Let's put it that way. Lots of doubles, you can hit one over the fence. Triples are complicated. Like a lot of things have to go your direction. Basically, it's an
Man,
inside the park home run for your leadoff hitter. Is a triple for Alejandro Kirk.
so looking at it, 2024, he had 1 triple. Off the top of my head, I cannot remember it. I'm gonna have to go back and pull that one up because what the hell were they doing in the field that they let him get to third? I don't know.
Man, that'd be amazing.
Keep going with the ups. Mason Wynn, hell of a game for him yesterday, 3 for 4 with a homer and 2 runs. And then Foster Griffin, 6 innings of 1-run ball while striking out 6 against San Fran. Last start in Washington, first start in Cleveland. People were worried. And now it looks like he's settled back in. Is he back into the circle of trust for you, Bubba?
Yeah, he is. Don't remember where I talked about this, but Foster was very open about it that last start in Washington because you got to remember he came back from the KBO and he said it was really weighing on him knowing this was his last start. Like the team gave him a shot, he's pitched so well, so he seems like a very emotional or mental player, good or bad, who knows.
Mm.
But now he seems like he's getting comfortable in Cleveland. Not to mention the Giants will help a lot of the problems with they're one of the worst. I think I wrote a 53 WRC plus versus lefties over the last month. Dreadful, dreadful. Like hitting below 200. So yeah, that's called the cure all for Foster Griffin.
Todd has a great one in the chat here. Benji Molina once raced a pregnant woman to first base, and he came in third.
That's amazing. Okay, I'm stealing that potentially at some point in time, but that is awesome.
That's that's really good, Todd. We appreciate that. We love the humor here on the show. I've missed this. I haven't done leading off in like 2 weeks. I forgot how much I missed this. This is my favorite hour of the day for sure. We will not be getting into the best part of the show here as the downs. Some people might be disappointed. Nick Martinez. It was bound to happen eventually, but the Blue Jays, really? I guess they've been better recently, but 6 earned runs, 9 hits, a couple walks over 3 and 2/3. Merle Kelly, 6 earned runs and walked 4 against the Red Sox at Fenway. And then Jackson Merrill, who's actually been great recently, not even just recently, over the last couple months, really. A little golden sombrero action for him, but overall, I think Jackson Merrill has kind of redeemed himself and he's lived up to the hype that we had a couple of years ago, Bubba.
Yeah, fully back in on the Merrill train. He went at the end of round 2, picked 30 overall last night. I think that's going to keep moving up as if he keeps producing like this in the second half of the season. So I'm not worried about the golden sombrero at all.
All right, guys, it's time for the injury report, and this will probably take another hour of the show here. Every time Bubba and I get together, it's brutal for the injuries. We'll start with Tyler Soderstrom. I did a video a couple weeks ago saying trade for Tyler Soderstrom, trade for Tyler Soderstrom. He's going to have season-ending hip surgery. Really brutal. I'm still a long-term believer in the talent, but obviously he becomes a drop. Edwin Diaz. I think we all kind of saw it coming. It was just disaster after disaster after disaster. Placed on the IL. The injury appears to be upper body and not related to his surgically repaired elbow. So Tanner Scott lives, Bubba, or potentially Emmet Sheehan, like you mentioned. I know they tried Sasaki as a reliever last year. If you were betting money on this, who's the closer for the Dodgers over the next 6 weeks?
It's back to Tanner Scott. That seems like the sure he got the save on Tuesday night. Ending in a third of work for Tanner Scott, 27 pitches. It's his world, unless the rat David Roberts decides to get real goofy with things. But yeah, Tanner Scott should get saves there. And with Edwin Diaz, they're calling it neck inflammation. I guess he's whiplash is what I would think it is from all the balls he's been letting fly around the yard. But you hate to see it. It couldn't happen to a better team.
I mean, whiplash is what you could describe looking at your ratios with Edwin Diaz in the lineup. It's 11.85 ERA. It's a 2.56 whip. 2.56. I mean, good lord.
That's a good batting average. The best part about this is that Rat has to explain to the media when he said we don't have any quality options besides Edwin Diaz in the bullpen, and then you have to walk up to Tanner Scott and go, hey bro, the dude that was the best option's hurt, so I guess it's you. Is that how that conversation? It's not me, it's you. Is that how that conversation goes? But it's I'd love everything about this if anybody can't figure that out yet.
I mean, Tanner Scott, WAR is a flawed stat. I think with relievers, with pitchers in general, especially Fangraphs WAR, I think that there are some things I don't love about it. But at the end of the day, Tanner Scott has the 12th highest WAR among all qualified relief pitchers in baseball. He's been a great reliever for them this season. I really didn't understand the shade,
Yep,
but in my home league, which it's currently Tanner Scott and Hogan Harris as the closers, Devin Williams on the shelf. I didn't drop
it's
Tanner
working.
Scott. I
Yep,
kept Tanner Scott even when Diaz came back, thinking even if I get 4 saves rest of season or something, it might be worth it. And
yep,
it looks like it has paid off, holding on to Tanner Scott where people did. We'll see, but it looks like it did.
yep.
Still a lot to go here. Aaron Judge will start a hitting progression this week and expected back at some point in September. Positive news there. Even if you get a couple weeks, Aaron Judge will take it. And then a little bit of a remember me, Corbin Burns is expected to return in the first week of September. What will your bidding look like in free agency on Corbin Burns, or is it fully contingent on what that first start looks like back?
Yeah, it'll probably be a goose egg because I'm terrified of how that first start's going to go and what's going forward. And I feel like you bring Corbin Burns back to just kind of get him back in the mix for 2027. Like I don't see them getting too aggressive with his workload this year.
I think that's probably right. Yeah, not too much interest, but we'll see. I'm always hopeful for a guy with Corbin Burns' talent level that can exceed expectations, but I'm keeping them pretty low. Dansby Swanson, IL with a left oblique strain, expected to miss about a month. The typical timeline for this is 4 to 6 weeks, but they've said they expect him back this year. I believe I saw you tweeted something though along the lines of cutting Dansby
Yeah,
Swanson. Was that you with the scissors emoji? I think it was
that's
you.
me. Yeah, they call
So
me
is that
Captain Cuts on bench or Bubba in the Bloom. So yeah, we're going.
across the board? He's a cut regardless here, pretty much.
They said it's a severe grade 2 strain, so 4 weeks is
Mm.
4 weeks is optimistic, and the Cubs are fighting for the postseason. That's why they're saying 4 weeks. I'm cutting him and moving on. You can't sit like if you have an IL spot, go for it. But I don't play an IL league, so I'm cutting Dansby Swan. There's 6 weeks of the season to go, so he's gone.
It's crazy how quickly it's gone, but yeah, you miss a month, then you got to hope that he comes back and is great for the final 2 weeks. And honestly, Dansby for the whole year hasn't really been that great. There was a couple of games there where he had like the 3 homer game, 2 homer game, and it was all in the span of a week, and that was like 30% of his season right there. So I think you're all right to drop him. This one sucks. Hunter Goodman placed on the IL with a left shoulder strain. We've been kind of waiting for it over the last few days or so, being held out of the lineups, but he's out. And it looked like actually he was announced in the lineup
Yeah,
yesterday, and then they pulled him. So I guess they thought things were looking bright, and then they had to pull the plug on Hunter Goodman. Are we pulling the plug on Hunter Goodman, Bubba? Is he a drop for you?
I need more information because, like you said, the big point was is he was in the lineup. He was a late scratch. So that means like he's close. Maybe they're saying screw it. He's been out 4 games. Put him on the IL. He'll be back early next week. Like that's where my positive thoughts are trying to play out here. But it just takes one piece of bad news, and we might move on from that one.
Yeah. A couple more superstars to talk about. Juan Soto has progressed to on-field running, but is still without a clear timetable to return. Obviously, I think you're holding Juan Soto just because he's Juan Soto, but I mean, there's not a ton of time here for him to really do much. Vlad Guerrero Jr. has resumed baseball activities and is on track to potentially be activated next week. Who cares? It doesn't really matter at this point. Honestly, I'm not even sure he's a startable asset right now, even if he was back in the lineup in a 12-team league. First base is so deep. It'd be tough to bench him, but it would also be tough to start him right now, Bubba. What do you think about Vlad?
How he's a cut in 12s or less. Like you move on because like he says he's doing baseball activities. What's he do? He got the fungo out hitting ground balls to the rest of the leagues. That's what he's so good at. Like it's just I'm just being sarcastic because it sucks. Like watching that's the downfall this season of Vlad Guerrero Jr. is something to behold.
It's pretty rough, man. We're going to go a calendar year without seeing a home run at the Rogers Center from Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Max Fried has low-level inflammation in his elbow and was placed on the IL. He's continuing to throw, and the Yankees are optimistic he can return at some point. I don't know about this one. Elbow inflammation. The Yankees have a pretty good staff. I don't know if they're going to want to push it with Fried. I'm leaning towards a cut here. What do you think?
I'd wait a little bit longer, but I'm with you on that. It's weird because he missed 2 months with the same injury earlier this year. They're saying they got ahead of this one. It's precautionary. They actually expect him back in when the 15 days is up. Yeah, that's a tricky one. But Freed's been awesome since he returned from the IL, so that's a tough drop,
Yeah.
but it's close.
We're definitely getting there, and here's a guy you're definitely dropping. If you should have dropped him a while back, but Edward
Oh yeah.
Cabrera was placed on the IL with a blister, and he said he's willing to move to the bullpen when he returns. He's going to have to be willing to move to Asia probably pretty soon if he doesn't figure things out because things are just awful. Just really been awful for him. I mean, last year looked like he was figuring things out. It's been a really bad season for Edward Cabrera. Let's go to the home run board and take a look at what we've got going on for today. Hi, Cubby. I mean, I've been gone for
Oh,
a while and I come back, and Hi Cubby is still right at the top there at 53. BD at 49. I mean, Hi Cubby and BD are starting to pull away with it. You guys in third, fourth, fifth here. B Trot, Lee, Jace Fan, Razor Ramon. You got to pick up the pace here a little bit. We're going to need some 2 and 3 home run games to keep it going, Bubba. What are you looking at today for your home run call?
first off, shout out to BD because last time I was on the show, Hi Kelby was running away with the whole thing, and that thing's getting
Okay.
real close. So that was a shocker when he pulled that image up there. For me, I'm going to Big Meat Pete, the polar bear. Pete Alonso has been on an absolute tear over the last month to 2 months for the O's, and Will Warren's taking the bump for the Yankees. And Will Warren should be out of this rotation if it wasn't for Max Fried being on the IL. So yeah, give me Big Meat Pete, the polar bear.
Oh, I had high hopes for Will Warren earlier in the year. I thought that he was going to be a lot better than he is, but been a bit of a rough go for him. Andy Pajes is my pick today. We're at Coors Field. He's facing Kyle Freeland, who's been running about as pure as you can possibly run. 2 of the last 3 starts, 8 innings, 9 innings. I don't expect it to continue. I think that he's run out of good luck. So I think Andy Pajes today at Coors will be able to take him yard. And if you guys are looking to make your own home run calls, check out what we've got going on at Betting Pros. We have a home run model that you guys can check out. If you guys haven't told, I haven't hosted a show in a while. But there's home run probabilities, data driven from matchup to stadium or weather conditions. You can check out all the picks at bettingpros.com/homers and unlock all the picks with a Betting Pros premium subscription. Today we're looking at Gino Suarez, my boy, Heriberto Hernandez, and then Ryan Vialdi it's Max Scherzer. So, I mean, we could all probably hit a home run against Max Scherzer at this point. But make sure you guys are checking out bettingpros.com/homers. Will really help you out finding the best odds and the best players to bet on in the given day. We are going to go to our best bets, and I'm going to stick around in that Dodgers-Colorado game. I really just think the luck has run out for Kyle Freeland. I don't know how he's done what he's done over the last couple starts. And I'm taking the over at Coors Field here. It's 11.5. It is a little bit high, but on the other side, Roki Sasaki, who has been better, but also still not somebody that I really trust. So over 11.5 runs, you're getting it at plus 105. And Bubba, I mean, a man after my own heart here with his bet of the day.
Yeah, Cade Saivali has been absolutely
Oh,
outstanding. Oh, he's my SP3 in the 2027 draft. Just throwing that out there. But Cavalli has been amazing over I'm gonna give him 2 months. If you really want to take out 2 starts, but the last 4 months, he's been the dude for the Washington Nationals. He gets the Texas Rangers, and you mentioned it earlier. I can't remember what pitcher we were talking about, but Rangers matchups isn't that scary over the last month. It's been rough. Versus righties, a 25% K rate. Cavalli has 8 or more Ks in his last 2 starts, and he's got a K to walk well over 20% over the last month and a half. So give me K Cavalli doing the Texas 2-step with an over 7K prop.
I mean, Cavalli and DeGrom, they're calling it the Orrico Bowl. It's my guy from this year versus my guy from last year. You know I'll be tuned in there. So make sure you guys are checking that one out and placing your bets there. Check out Betting Pros. Shop around, get the best lines. Plus 174 is a very, very sweet number. And I might have to hold hands with you on that one, Bubba. That's looking pretty good. We're gonna get out of here because I've kept us going longer than we were anticipating. I think I said at the top this will be the best 47 minutes of your day. Well, it was the best 54 minutes of your day. I really appreciate you guys hanging out. Wanted to go a little bit long because it's been a while since I've done a show, and I honestly missed you guys. But thank you so much for hanging out. Mets fan, I see also has a 3-stream streak, so really appreciate that. Everybody who continues to watch the show every day, it's the Joe and Bubba show for 90% of the rest of the season. You'll still get some Welshie on Mondays. I think he's the Monday guy with me. And
Yeah,
then Bubba
for
and I
two
on
for 2 more
Wednesdays and
weeks.
Thursdays.
Then it's just you and me the rest of the way.
Okay. I missed one of my only remaining Welsh shows because of some technology troubles, but it's okay. We'll catch up. We'll do some shows together. We're talking about a show in Arizona potentially. So lots of fun stuff to be on the lookout for, but make sure you guys are subscribing, liking, commenting, do all that great stuff. Do it on Twitch, do it on YouTube, do it on the podcast feed. Help us out everywhere. Take us a couple minutes. We really do appreciate it. But we'll be back again on Friday, myself and KC Bubba. But until then, everybody, enjoy your Wednesday and have a great one. This was Leading Off.
Just It's like riding a bike, Orrico. You got the computer to go the whole way. You hosted the show. Life is good.
I managed to get through it somehow. It's amazing how hard things can be, but also how easy things can be at the same time.
Yes. Story of my life is the way I look at that.